Ladies and gentlemen, this video is sponsored by no one. Now let's begin. Today's video is going to be one of my favorite on YouTube simply because it features an opening trick that I use in most of my online games in order to win fast. I'm going to be showing you what I simply call the signature move. Yeah, that's how we are going to be moving our queen. I'm going to show you how we can apply this signature move in the Perk Defense, the King's Pawn game, the Alpine, the Sicilian, only to mention but a few. So we begin with the Perk Defense. Pawn to e4, and then black, for some unknown reason, plays pawn to d6. This is called the perk. We just go pawn to d4. They'll definitely play knight to f6, attacking our e4 pawn. And right here, instead of playing the standard move, knight c3, we go bishop c4, completely giving up our pawn on e4. And you will see your amateur players here taking this free pawn. That's when you can sacrifice your bishop on f7, check. And after king takes, you now go queen h5, check. And now you can see the whole idea behind our signature move. We just want to make black lose his right to castle, as we also get ahead in development and make our opponent become passive. Now, this is one way in which this game can go after we apply our signature move. Now, black has to be very careful because even in this position, he may end up losing more material. Let's say after we play queen f4 check, and then he thinks of blocking the check with a queen, because we just grabbed a free pawn on c7 with another check. Can somebody tell me if this was really the Perk Defense? Alright, let's look at how we can apply the same signature move in the Lichess Defense. So once again, we start with pawn to e4. Then instead of d6, black responds with knight to f6, the Lichess Defense. The normal continuation is to play pawn to e5. You start pushing other pawns, d4, c4. Black is well prepared against each one of these moves. So we just go bishop c4. By the way, when we play bishop c4, we do not really hope for black to take on e4. This is just a normal development. We are going to develop the knight, the pawns, the other knight, and castle shot. But if black gets greedy and takes the free pawn on e4, that's when we again sacrifice our bishop on f7 with check, and king takes f7 is forced, after which we now apply our signature move. Yep, queen h5, check, with an intention of winning back our piece on e4, black's knight. Again, we just made black to lose his right to castle, and I can assure you to say black wasn't prepared for this kind of setup in the opening stage. They just wanted to play a normal game, but because of our signature move, we made them go out of their prep. The game may continue as follows: bishop g7, we still go knight f3, rook f8, move order doesn't matter, pawn to d5, attacking our queen. Well, we just simply play queen e2 this time, cause queen f4 check doesn't work. There's a rook here, so queen e2, and after king g8, our plans are very simple. We can just castle short, play bishop g5 if need be, and pawn to c3, we develop the queen's knight, life goes on. Alright, now let's look at the real meat. So this time, we start with pawn to e4, and then instead of d6 or knight to f6, black responds normally with pawn to e5. Well, against this, we can just continue normally with knight to f3, then we'll play knight c6 defending their pawn, then we go bishop c4, bishop c5, auto played moves. This is called the Gyoko piano. Now right here, instead of castling short or playing pawn to c3, we directly go pawn to d4. This move will confuse a lot of your beginner opponents, even intermediate level players, because they won't know exactly what to do with this pawn. The correct move is bishop takes d4, but who wants to lose his bishop pair very early in the opening stage? They have been taught to keep their bishop pair for the end game. Hence, you are going to see most of your opponents taking with their e-pawn. And this is when you're supposed to play the move knight g5, simply putting more pressure on the weak f7 pawn. They'll play knight h6, at least defending their f7 pawn. But nope, it's not defended at all, because we have the move knight takes f7. Once again, double attacking two of black's big pieces. If knight takes, again we sacrifice our bishop. If king takes, here comes queen h5. Once again, our signature move, which ends up winning the bishop on c5. And our plans will be very simple from here. We'll just develop as highlighted. bishop d2, knight d2, castle long, and start expanding on the king side. But even more safe is just to castle short and play pawn to h3, then develop as highlighted. Anyways, so instead of e takes d4, they may also try to take with the knight. Even though this line does not feature our signature move, let me just show you. Just go bishop e3, planning to play pawn to c3 next in order to win the free bishop on c5. E.g., if they take on f3 with check, that's a blunder because we take back with the queen intending to mate on f7, and there's nothing black can do to save his dark squared bishop. Which is why you see them playing something like pawn to d6 instead of taking the knight on f3. So pawn to d6, at least holding on to the bishop and the pawn. But this is when you can just take on d4 with your knight. If e takes d4 attacking your bishop, you simply take on d4. Bishop takes, queen takes, and now you can see that we are ahead in development and all of black's pieces are sleeping along the 8th rank. But instead of pawn takes or knight takes, if bishop takes d4, just take the bishop and simplify the game. Just play normal chess here and you're going to be good to go. For example, even in this position, things are already bad. If g6, you go queen f3. If knight takes e5, you have rook e1, pinning this knight to the king. If they play d6, well, I want you guys to find the right move for white in this position. You can leave your answer in the comment section down below so that I can also learn of your existence. And this is when you can do me a little favor, guys, by simply hitting the like button if at all you're enjoying this video. And don't feel lazy to subscribe to my channel because that's how you encourage me to keep on making more wonderful videos just like this one. Not to mention that my courses are still on promotion with a massive discount of 71%. You can do the needful as I give you 4 seconds before I show you the last opening trick involving our signature move. Alright, now we look at the last opening where we can apply the signature move. After e4, then black plays pawn to c5, which is called the Sicilian Defense. Well, here you just play knight to f3. If pawn to d6, go d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, and instead of playing knight c3 defending the pawn on e4, you just simply play bishop c4 targeting the weak f7 pawn once again. I'm sure by this time you already know what happens if black takes the free pawn on e4, because we'll just sacrifice our bishop once again on f7. And if king takes, now here comes our queen h5 signature move. You should get used to this move as you are going to confuse most of your opponents. Now trust me, you won't see most of your advanced opponents taking on e4. Let's say after bishop c4, instead of taking, you're going to see them playing normal moves such as pawn to s6. Just the normal Najdorf variation. Well, here I just recommend you go knight c3. If b5, you have bishop d5, and if pawn to e6, I like playing the immediate pawn to g4, then g5, h4 is still coming. These ideas are from the Keres attack, which I covered in the video that has popped up in the card above. You need to watch that as well after finishing to watch this video. But the move that you should always look for is knight to c6 in the Najdorf variation. Knight c6 is a positional mistake, even though it isn't at this stage. After knight takes, pawn takes, you simply go pawn to e5. The idea is to simply go pawn to e6. For example, if knight g4, we simply go pawn to e6, cutting the communication between the bishop and the knight, and you can see that we are ready to take this free knight and also ready to take this pawn on f7. For example, if knight e5. So this is very bad for black, but instead of knight g4 in this position, if black foolishly takes the pawn on e5, let's say d takes e5, well, it's game over after. Bishop takes f7, sacrifice. The only way is for black to capture the bishop on f7. Since this file is covered by our queen, so after king takes f7, we simply win the free queen and black has to resign in this position. Alright, this is all for today, you guys. Thank you for watching my video. Until next time.